Hello again, folks. Apologies for the noise and the echo. I'm in the bath. I've had a few days to have a rethink about my Wales video. I did a Wales video the other day, but I deleted it. The reason being, I thought it was a bit of a rambling rant and didn't look good, so I pulled it. That wasn't YouTube, that was me. If you liked that video, I do apologise. But I should have really just stuck to my policy of not posting a video if I'm not happy with it. And that's my tip to any aspiring YouTuber as well. If you're not happy with the content you're pushing out, or a video, you've edited it, whatever, don't do it and you'll have peace of mind. So anyway, I pulled that video and I'm doing this one now while I'm sat in the bath having a nice warm cherry brandy and listening to the dog downstairs being serenaded by a harmonica. So apologies if you can hear that. So yes, just as I said in my previous Wales video, I am rapidly getting disillusioned with the country of my birth. It is quite literally the woke country from hell. It's been run into the ground by woke leftists in the assembly who don't give a jot about the people. Because if these globalist, socialist, Marxist elites get their way, then the Welsh culture and the language will simply disappear. And believe me, folks, it gives me no pleasure saying that, because they want Wales to become a sanctuary nation. And what this means is they want to take in every refugee from every corner of the world. But the thing is, every so-called refugee now comes from the Middle East, and the culture that they bring with them, and not all of them, by the way, not 100% of these people are by the book practitioners of a culture that dictates its will upon the host nation without a singular concern about the host people. And that will happen, folks. If Wales gets its way, if its woke politicians get their way and flood the countries with refugees for so-called sanctuary, then I can assure you that the Welsh language and the culture will be made to bend over backwards to accommodate them. Another reason Wales is rapidly going downhill is its rampant hatred of anything English and British. I firmly believe that Mark Drakeford, the man with a face like a melted Wellington boot who's currently or so-called in charge of the country, enforced a very draconian lockdown restrictions on Wales, and it was so draconian that it was literally like throwing a hand grenade at the economy. He didn't do this to stop any sort of virus. He did it to control his people. You see, I heard before on the internet, and I quite like this really, I can't remember who said it, but this person said, Mark Drakeford looks like someone who can't believe they're in the position they're in and people have to listen to him and he can give orders. It is literally about controlling the people. Because if Mark Drakeford gave a toss about Wales and the economy and actually listened to the scientists who were giving him advice at the time, and these scientists, by the way, they advised him that the Omicron variant was not as bad as the Delta variant and the symptoms were very mild. But he didn't listen to them. He lied, basically, and did what the hell he wanted to do. Now, that behaviour is more akin to a dictatorship than a democracy. And then, of course, there's the banning of words in some parts of the Welsh civil service. Believe me or not, words like Brexit and Her Majesty are banned. They're not allowed to say those words in the workplace. Now, imagine being a Welsh soldier. You grew up in a very poor community, and to get out of that community, get out of poverty, you joined the army. And your ideals were freedom of speech and democracy. You are sent to Iraq, you're sent around the world to help promote that. And then when you come home, your very own government have banned words. Things like this are akin to a very restrictive socialist, communist country, not a free and democratic one. I mean, the Nazis banned words. Even North Korea have banned words, amongst a million other things. So that doesn't put the Welsh government in good light, does it? And it was also Mark Drakeford that brought in the plague passports. And in my opinion, and I'm sure in your opinion too, my viewers, the plague passport is discriminatory to the extreme. And countries who use them have a higher rate of the plague than anywhere else, and that's a fact. And it's worth noting that throughout the draconian lockdown measures by Drakeford, The Welsh plague numbers have been consistently higher than England, who have not used draconian lockdown measures. And now it turns out the Welsh government are racist towards white people, its own native race, because it's offering people a grant of up to £2,000 to help people overcome barriers to starting a business. And the eligibility criteria to have one of these, you should be unemployed or a young person considered a college or university leaver as described below. And in assessing the applications and allocating funds, priority will be given to individuals who have been mostly affected by the plague outbreak, and these are disabled people, individuals of a BAME community, i.e. black, and women. So if you're a young white man, you're screwed. The Welsh Government will discriminate against you simply because of your skin colour and gender. So based on those, it won't give you a grant to help you out. That is discriminatory to the extreme. This is how woke Wales has become now, folks. It's like it's in competition with Nicola Sturgeon wee Jimmy Cranky's Scotland under the SNP. Remember now, Mark Drakeford is the guy who went dancing at a Diwali festival while not wearing a mask, and he later locked the whole country down and put these very restrictive, very draconian lockdown measures in place. What a massive hypocrite. Then again, he is a lefty, folks, and remember, it's okay when they do it. I mean, I couldn't imagine ever stepping foot in Wales again if this is how the government treats its own people. And I won't even get into the fact that the Welsh Government are proposing racial segregation as a solution to racism in the government. I mean, looking at everything I've said with the Welsh Assembly now, they really are a divisive, nasty lot. They are so woke, it's unbelievable. And they're hell-bent on just destroying Wales, their own country, to prove a point. And they are still begging for money from Westminster, which they get readily. It's very rare for Westminster to say no to the Welsh Government when it comes to having emergency money. And these people want to have independence. Can you imagine being this mess of a country and being part of the EU and keep asking for money because you can't manage it? You see, Brussels are greedy, but they're smart enough to know that they only want countries that can make them wealthy, and Wales won't make them wealthy. And this sanctuary nation nonsense is a perfect example of how and why they could not be an independent country and be a financial success. Because recently Mark Drakeford and the Welsh Assembly asked Westminster for more money so they could accommodate more refugees. Now, if Wales was an independent country, it wouldn't be able to afford to accommodate refugees because it wouldn't have the money, and Westminster would not be there to keep dipping into its purse. So where will the woke Welsh Government find the money to pay for this progressive vanity project? Because remember, folks, the woke have absolutely no problem sacrificing their own in order to show everyone else how progressive and how wonderfully bleeding heart they are. So, of course, it would be the poor people, the people at the bottom rung of the Welsh society ladder who will have to do without and pay for this. And they will do it. They will cut deep into the Welsh poor's benefits and the working class tax money in order to accommodate and try and do this rather suicidal policy. Now, I know what I've said sounds a bit rough, but it's true. I've been doing my channel now for over 2 years, and having these left-wing idiots constantly coming onto my channel to troll me and tell me how wrong I am and how absolutely perfect their warped ideology is. I can tell you with confidence this is how they think. It's just a very self-destructive way of logic, if you can call it that. Wales needs Brussels and the EU if they want any hope of becoming a successful, and I say independent, how the hell can you be an independent country when you're under the rule of thumb of the EU? You can't. You basically do as you're told. So yeah, Wales is indeed a woke shithole. And if it was up to Drakeford and his band of merry socialists, then they'd have the whole country padlocked in their own houses unless they've had the jab and their weekly boosters. And masks would still be mandatory, even in your own home. I mean, they might as well have the hammer and sickle up on that flag now, along with a mask on the Red Dragon. What an absolute embarrassment. That's what I think. And it gives me no pleasure saying that. And that's what I think about it anyway. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments. And YouTube and Google have demonetized my channel. That's why I've set up the Buy Me a Beer thing. It's in the description below. So if you like what I do, if you love what I do, and you want to give Google and YouTube the finger and stop them having the sole monopoly on the work that I do, because they still put adverts on it, each and every video. But that's how these people work, folks. So if you like what I do, by all means, you can buy me a beer. It's going to a good cause. Right, that's it. I'm off. Remember, comment, share, subscribe, and until my next video, Roger Trout.